My mill tampered with my birth control, resulting in me getting pregnant 3 months postpartum. Not really sure what to do from here. Let me just start out by saying if you know who I am, please don't say anything. I created a throwaway to vent and cry and get support as anonymously as possible. I'm still very happy about the pregnancy, or at least wanna be. I just need support. Thanks for understanding. My husband, 22M, and I, 20F, welcomed our daughter into the world 18 weeks ago. She's a darling baby and really pretty easy as far as newborns go, except for one. She wasn't a son. My ILs were obsessed with the idea of us having a son, to the point that they denied she was a girl up until the moment she was born. Why? Because the bloodline follows the father. If you don't have a son, our family name will die out, because your daughter will marry a man and carry on his bloodline. So girls don't really count. The day they came to visit in the hospital, my ILs asked when we would be trying for another baby. We kind of just laughed it off, but my mill got more insistent, straight up telling us, y'all need to try for a boy. Over the next month or two, the conversation about us having another baby sort of tapers off into little comments every now and again. I had no problem ignoring them, and we'd already told them it wasn't happening, so I'd just let it run off my back. Around this time, MIL started coming over daily for a few hours, watching the baby for me so that I could sleep and also occasionally clean up a bit for me. She'd be over unsupervised anywhere from 1 to 4 hours. Fast forward to the present day. 2 days ago, my husband poured me a mixed drink, and when I brought the cup up to my lips, I got hit with this paranoid and panicked feeling. I immediately put the cup down and insisted we take a pregnancy test. Sure enough, it comes back positive. We wait until the next morning, take a digital test, and again, positive. Based on LMP, I should have been about 6 weeks along. After getting over the initial shock, we were excited but confused. For several reasons, we hadn't been able to get hormonal birth control, so we'd been using condoms and lube to make sure they didn't tear. So we weren't sure how we'd gotten pregnant, but we're happy with the news. We decided we wouldn't tell anyone because we didn't want another baby stampede from his family, but I'm incredibly close with my sil, so I decided to tell her after swearing her to secrecy. When I told her, her eyes got wide and started to water, and she asked if I was serious, and was I sure? I told her I know my husband and I are young, but between us we make more than enough to support another baby. Sael bursts into tears and starts to apologize over and over. Meanwhile, I sit there with my mouth hanging open and lost. She calms down a bit, and through her tears tell me that my MIL has been poking holes in our condoms pretty much since we came home from the hospital. She claims MIL told her she did it, but she thought that she was just spouting shit because she was upset we didn't have a boy. And suddenly everything clicked into place. That's why the condoms didn't work even though we were careful with them. That's why she'd always shoo me off to sleep while she was around. And that's what she was doing when she was cleaning my house, snooping for our condoms. And she knew I wasn't on birth control because I remember complaining to her about how my OB went on maternity leave and I wasn't able to find another one that took my insurance at the time. I'm so angry I don't know what to do. I want to go right over to her house and tear her a new one so bad I can smell my tires burning in the blacktop. I'm also illogically angry at SIL for not telling me. How could you think this was a joke when she was so specific about everything she was going to do? Why didn't you warn me? I would have put my condoms in my room. I'm livid with MIL. I'm pleased with this pregnancy, but it wasn't my choice. It wasn't even an accident, it was her meddling because she didn't get the golden grandson she wanted. I don't even know how to handle this. I want to scorch the earth, but I also still don't want his family knowing I'm pregnant. And I'm not even 12 weeks yet, so the risk of a miscarriage is still uncomfortably high. The only bright side of this whole thing is it snatched my husband out of his mother's FOG so violently he's probably got whiplash. Personally, my pregnancy has soured a bit, so I'm really trying to hang on to any happiness I have about the pregnancy left. If you have Irish twins of your own or are one, I'd love some positive feedback on that situation. Where do we go from here? ETA update. First, let me clarify. I am 20 years old, not 18. I'm 18 weeks postpartum, not 12. 12 is when I would have conceived given that I'm 6 weeks along based on LMP. Second, I don't give a shit if you think this is fake. I honestly wish that it were. If you don't have advice to give, I kindly ask that you take your judgment elsewhere. Now that that's out the way, here's the update. I want to thank you all for your support and suggestions. Having a plan makes me feel way less panicked and overwhelmed. Sadly, what Mill did isn't a crime here, so there won't be any jail time or charges pressed. For now, the game plan is NC with Mill for me, babe, or growing babe once the truth is out. Before then, I want all the proof in the world she did this. I've ordered a hidden camera, and I'm going to buy new, latex-free condoms claiming that I'm suddenly allergic to latex. Hopefully she'll poke holes again and I'll have video proof this time. Even if I can't use it to press charges, I want all the proof I have that she's not safe to be around so she can't sue for GPR if this baby is a boy. I also have decided to change our family last name to literally anything else BC. I'm a petty bitch, and since she wants to act an ass over this stupid name, then nobody gets it. As for my husband, he's willing and ready to do whatever I decide. Currently he's asleep, so we'll be discussing everything at breakfast. Thanks again everyone. Spot on comments. Comment 1. If it is a little girl, I hope they name it after OP's mother or grandmother or another influential woman in her life. If it's a boy, I like the idea of giving him his mother's surname for a last name, or something similar. I also don't think Mill should ever see any child that OP and her husband have ever again. Comment 2. I think you have solid grounds to go to the police and see what can be done. Maybe your state, if in the US, has reproductive coercion laws. She's fully admitted that she poked holes in the condoms, and you probably have the condoms with holes in them as I'm typing this. I don't know how you ever get back to normal after this. If you forgive and forget, you're basically telling her she can invade you and nothing will be done in the form of a consequence. I don't advocate for NC unless it's seriously bad. I advocate here because you'll be seeing red every time you hear her speak. Go to therapy so you can properly accept the pregnancy and separate the anger for MIL and your sweet babe. I wish you the best. Comment 3. This is reproductive coercion and it is assault. She never sees either of your children again. At the very least, she never has unsupervised access to your children or you. If Hubs isn't literally in the room, she can't be there. If she does, if you let her get away with this and sweep it under the rug, she will feel entitled to brag for the rest of her life about how she is the reason you have LO2 and how that's her baby, and she's so proud of this completely sick thing she has done to you. She may do it again, she may do it to Sil. This is not a person you can ever trust again. LO1 will always hear about how she wasn't good enough because she was a girl, so Mill did this to you and now you have LO2, and isn't that so wonderful? Your daughter is going to need to be protected from internalizing that she is inadequate, or that reproductive coercion is an okay thing to do. Comment 4. If I were you, I would talk to your local police department and/or a lawyer to talk about legal options. If a couple agreed to use condoms as birth control and one person decided to poke holes in the condoms without telling the other, so changing the terms of the agreement without informing their partner, that probably would be considered some form of sexual assault or fraud at the very least. It should be no different for your Mill. If you have any condoms left in your house, inspect them for damage and save them as evidence. I would also never let her around my kids ever again. She is taking manipulation to get what she wants to the extreme. That's not someone I would want influencing my kids. Comment 5. So either you call the police and do anything and everything you can to destroy this nutjob's credibility and peace of mind. Tell everyone on Facebook, her church, put up her picture with a warning this crazy woman tampers with condoms where she shops. Or I'll just wait for the update where she plants drugs or something to get you deemed an unfit parent to get you out of the way to her kid. Make no mistake, that is how she thinks. This might sound harsh, but honestly, if you don't both call the police and never let her near your family again, I would have to say you are not fit to parent. Do you want a power-hungry lunatic having control over your kids? Because she will never accept anything less than the level of control she wants. If you let her in, she will not give up. She doesn't even think of you as a human being. You are cattle to her. Comment 6. Not much to say that hasn't already been said. Gonna repeat many comments. Good luck with both kids. Speak with your husband about the options with the in-laws. My family had issues in-laws too. Mom's parents talked and joked about beating their religion into us kids, and Dad's sister tried to kill her own kids. My family did supervised visits in public, active parks, restaurants, church, with the all-in-laws, whole family, until us kids were over 18, or relatives proved to parents' trustworthiness and equality. So you have that choice if husband wants to stay in contact with Illifer, change locks, get a door camera, intercept all presents. If it is a boy, raise him with the idea he can take his wife's last name, or your daughter can keep hers and husband takes hers. Adopted sister and her fiancé are taking her birth last name. If you keep having problems, trust issues, you can go to a counselor. Most churches/temples/community centers have or know great people to talk to for free or cost. My closest brother is 12 months to the day younger, and we were joined at the hip until high school. Shared a room till middle school. Learning things was easier with someone else learning at the same time. I always had my playmate, and we helped each other instead of asking other siblings or parents for help. Comment 7. So, funny thing. You don't have to name your children with your family name. You can name them whatever you want. You could give them a singular name like Cher or Sting. Or to be more subtle, with a great big fuck you. You could give your child the family name of your own parents. When they become obstinate about it, you could inform them that because Mill messed with your health and safety, you have decided as a family that they will not be part of the naming convention. I am curious. It seems your husband supports your decisions regarding planning your future, but I don't see any commentary on how he is handling his parents. Personally, if my parents treated my wife that way, they would have just lost their grandparent visitation privileges. And they wouldn't get them back until they apologized and my wife agreed that they deserved them back. Even still, I would have a mandatory 1-year minimum ban. What if you had been on birth control? Would she have just switched your pills for Tylenol? Because mixing Tylenol and alcohol causes permanent liver damage. Maybe she switched to aspirin. Maybe you're on an anticoagulant after the pregnancy because of a developed clotting disorder. Congratulations, she just killed you. If you got a restraining order against your MIL for you and your kids, it would not be too far. Comment 8. Once you've calmed down, you and your husband need to inform her that what she did was a huge breach of trust and that because of her actions she will never have a relationship with her grandchildren. She can't be trusted, and no matter what craziness she spews, this is worth burning a bridge over. Her actions deserve scorched earth consequences. Don't let her threaten you with grandparents' rights, because those usually only proc if their child has died, plus they have to establish a relationship with the child prior to filing, which as of now they have zero relationship with your next child. Excluding certain states with crazy GP rights, I think NY is one. Kindly tell her to pound sand and that she isn't allowed anywhere near you, your home, or your children, and that any attempt to contact, harass or threaten you will be met with a police call and possibly a restraining order. Don't answer phone calls, don't let her in the door, and do not ever stand and take her words, always turn and walk away. Now to the next story. Story 2. My fiancé doesn't want to invite his Sil to our wedding because she has feelings for him, when it's more the other way around. My fiancé, Will, has a younger brother Charlie, and he is married to Evie. Evie is a beautiful woman both inside and out. She is one of the nicest people I've ever met and is an amazing and supportive friend. Perhaps the best friend I've ever had. Will, Charlie and Evie went to school together. Charlie and Evie have been together for 20 years, they married pretty much straight out of high school. During their time at school, Will and Evie went on one date before she started dating Charlie. Will had been hounding her for a date and she eventually said yes to try and make Charlie jealous, as she liked him but didn't think he felt the same way. Yes, completely aware this is ridiculous, but Evie was 13 at the time. Evie told me about this date pretty early on. She had wanted me to know in case I thought she had feelings for Will. She made it very clear that she's never had romantic feelings for Will and that she just used him for that one date to make Charlie jealous. I do know that Will had feelings for Evie, and from what he's said that he's stopped having them since we've been together. Will and I are currently in the process of planning our wedding for next summer. We've been putting together a list of who we want to ask to be a part of the wedding party and who we want to invite to the wedding. I want to have Evie as one of my bridesmaids because I know she will be supportive and reliable. Will frowned and told me that he wasn't planning on Evie being part of the wedding. I asked if he had a falling out with Charlie and wasn't inviting him either, as they're a package deal as a married couple. Plus there is no way one would attend without the other. He replied that he hadn't fallen out with his brother, but he couldn't see himself getting married with Evie there, as according to him she still has feelings for him and he wouldn't want her to ruin our day. I know for a fact that she doesn't. I asked him if she had confessed feelings or something. He said no, but it's the way she is with him. He gave examples like how she's always around our house. Evie and I run together 3 times a week. As I live closer to her work, she comes to ours to change instead of going home. How she'll make his favorite dessert when we celebrate Christmas at theirs. His birthday is Christmas Eve. How she does little thoughtful things like dropping off baked goods for us, or how she takes an interest in things he is interested in. The 3 of them support the same football team. To me, none of this is Evie showing she has romantic feelings for him. She's just being a good friend. I told him this, but he is insistent on not inviting Evie to the wedding. I know that if Evie isn't invited, Charlie won't attend, and it will snowball further as the family are really close, but it will look like I'm the one causing this. I reached out to Evie after the conversation with Will, and I asked her to be honest with me if she had any sort of romantic feelings for Will. At first Evie laughed at the idea of her having any sort of feelings for Will. She then admitted that until I met Will he had made her uncomfortable, but it had lessened since we got together 2 years ago. She explained that Will would make comments about how they were more suited than her and Charlie. He used to send her drunk messages about how they belonged together. She told me that Charlie knew about the messages and they had pulled themselves away from Will during that period, but only allowed him back in when I started dating him. I asked her if he had sent her anything like that since we'd been together. Evie went quiet on the phone before saying that he had sent her a message at the weekend when Will, Charlie and some of their friends had gone out drinking. She had canceled on running this week, but hadn't given me a reason, and it turns out that she is avoiding Will. Charlie also hasn't been talking to his brother since the night out because of the message. She sent me the message and it was very explicit. He told her that he wished he was the father of her child. Evie's pregnant with their 4th child, and not Charlie, and how he'd be a better dad than Charlie could ever be. I'm not sure what to do. I love Will and he is convinced that Evie has feelings for him when she's made it clear that she does not. I thought Will had moved on, but he's now sending Evie messages. Is there anything I can do, or is the relationship just doomed? TLDR. Fiancé doesn't want his SIL to be invited to the wedding, saying it's because she has feelings for him. Turns out he has feelings for her and has started sending her messages again, saying that he loves her and they belong together. Edit. Not that it makes anything better. Will was 15 when they had the date. Evie is 6 months younger than her husband. She's 34 next month. I've told Will that we need to talk when he comes back from taking his mom to an appointment this morning. It's nothing serious, just taking her to get new glasses, but she needs the help as she's got mobility issues. I think he knows I want to talk about Evie, as he asked if it was about Evie and the wedding. I said yes, and he sighed before telling me we would discuss it when he comes back. I'm gonna put together a weekend back so I can leave quickly if needed. I've texted Evie and Charlie to tell them I'm going to talk to Will about his behavior because it needs to change and he needs to realize that nothing will ever happen with Evie. Charlie responded wishing me luck and has said their house is open to me if I need it. He also apologized for me having to go through this, as they shouldn't have stuck their heads in the sand about this hoping it would go away. I know I should have brought this up after she told me, but I'm very non-confrontational and will try and avoid an argument if I can. Update: Will and I had a talk when he came back. I told him that I knew about the text he had sent Evie at the weekend. He denied it straight away, telling me she was a fantasist, but quickly changed his tune once I started reading him the text. He then started to apologize and claimed it was just a moment of weakness after Charlie had been showing the group pictures from their family holiday last month. One of them had made a comment about Evie being out of Charlie's league, which reminded Will that he had lost his chance with Evie all those years ago. He then sent her the text. I asked him how he would feel if it had been Charlie harassing his partner, and he just lowered his head and said he would be upset, but that Charlie didn't deserve Evie. I told him that Evie wasn't an object to be given to whoever is deemed worthy of her, and that she chose Charlie, and that should have been enough for him. The fact there is someone out there who loves Charlie for who he is and makes his brother happy should be enough. Will told me that he was jealous of Charlie as he has everything he wanted, and it wasn't fair because he's the eldest. Charlie did better than Will in school. He was better at sports. Charlie is more successful as he was able to do what he wanted. Will feels he had to do what his parents expected, while Charlie could go to uni for whatever he wanted. Seeing Evie with Charlie is a reminder that Charlie has everything he wants. I asked Will if Evie was single and interested in him, would he leave me? Will refused to answer the question, but it was all I needed to hear. I told Will that I was going to stay elsewhere for a couple days while I figure out where I will go, because we are over. I don't want to stay living with someone who doesn't care about me. When I went to go and get the bag I packed, Will asked me if he could have the ring back, as it is a family heirloom. It belonged to his gran and was intended for whoever got married first, but when Charlie asked for it, Will apparently threw a massive tantrum over it, saying that it should be his as he is the eldest, so their mum said Charlie couldn't have it. I told him no, it was going to the person who it was meant to go to, Evie. I'm now at Charlie and Evie's for a couple days while I figure out getting a new place to stay, or if I will move closer to my family. I work for myself, so that makes things easier. Charlie and Evie have decided they will be going LC with Will. They'd go NC, but it will cause drama with the family and neither want that, especially Evie. Will called Charlie asking if I was with them, but Charlie told Will that he had no idea where I was. Charlie then proceeds to tell Will that they are going LC with him because of the way Will has been towards Evie, and that he is now doing what he should have done years ago in protecting Evie. Evie has apologized several times as she feels she's the reason my relationship has ended, but I have reassured her that the only person at fault here is Will, and I do not blame her for anything. If anything, she is a victim in all of this too. I've given her the ring, but she has said that I should give it back to Mil as she doesn't want it. I wish I had seen Will's behavior before it got this far, but I was blinded by love. Looking back, I can see there were red flags that I just decided to ignore. Spot on comment. Comment 1. Your fiancé is obsessed over another woman to the point he outright told her he wished he was the father of her children, and you don't want to say anything because it may start a fight. OP, you're his placeholder. If Evie did not have a husband or they divorced, he would go for her. This relationship is doomed. Comment 2. Why would you marry someone who is in love with someone else? You are the backup plan. If he ever sees that he has a chance with his SIL, he will drop you faster than a hot-baked potato. Do you really want this man to be father to your children when he would rather Evie be the mother? Comment 3. Girl, you have two choices, each have consequences. Just know from now on, whatever happens, it's on you. He's going to lie and say it's not true and he loves you, but you know and we all know you're a placeholder. Option 1. You marry him knowing he loves someone else. You resent him and resent Evie because she has something you don't have that he likes. He would leave you in a heartbeat if he had a chance with Evie. You could even have good years with him and get pregnant, but know that he would leave you at any point for Evie. Option 2. You leave him and put yourself first. And later in life you are grateful you didn't settle for him in second choice. Either way, your future is yours. You can't blame him in 10 or 15 years why he doesn't love you because you knowingly chose to get married with him, or you can make the hard choice and pick yourself. Comment 4. Please don't marry him. You deserve to be the first choice. You're not with him. That text message is a huge sign to leave him. I'm so sorry, but I really don't think you can come back from this. He's living a fantasy, a lie, and you deserve so much better. Please sit down with him and ask him to explain that text. For me, I'd be out, but if you're determined to make this work, he needs therapy and you should distance yourself from Evie and Charles to see if that helps. But really, I would break up. You have not built a strong foundation for this relationship, let alone a marriage. And if anything ever happened between Charles and Evie, he would want to make a move, even if Evie doesn't want him. I'd hang on to those two as friends and say goodbye to Will. Big hugs. Comment 5. You just found out you are getting set to marry a stalker who is focused very disturbingly on his own sill. And you think this can be fixed? No. It can't. You're being used. Your fiancé wants you in the picture, because it brought his brother and the SIL back. You are his "I'm a nice safe guy" costume. Your fiancé is a creep. His family is deluding themselves if any of them think you marrying him will fix the problem of him creeping on Sil. Run. Comment 6. Your fiancé is a 16-year-old pressured a 13-year-old to go on a date with him. Are 13-year-olds even allowed to date? Did he drive a 7th grader to a restaurant? And has been harassing her for years. I honestly can't believe Charlie and Evie haven't cut him off. I feel awful for her that she's had to put up with him trying to manipulate her into leaving her husband and father of her children for him. Now he wants to punish her for not reciprocating his advances by excluding her from your wedding, knowing how much it will hurt when she's so close with you. He doesn't love you, you're a placeholder because he can't have Evie. I'm sorry that sounds harsh, but it's the truth that can be seen plain as day from outside the situation. If Evie told him she wanted to leave Charlie for him, he'd drop you in a heartbeat. I would call off the wedding and be so glad Evie told you all this before the breakup became a divorce. Your husband is a creep.
Thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so and hit the notification bell to stay updated with more shocking real-life stories happening around you.